Hi, everyone. Welcome or welcome back. If you've been here before, thank you for hanging out with me today as I show you how to crochet the customizable, adjustable Hugs and Kisses snap bracelet. This project is a beginner-friendly project. Today we'll be working with beautiful glass pearls, which is something new for the channel. The bracelet has 2 layers. Its top layer contains the Hugs and Kisses, and in the bottom layer we just crochet straight, and we will join those 2 layers together and then add snaps. You can add no-sew snaps like these, or you can add sew-on snaps. It's in this bracelet right here. That's your choice. Also, the colors are limitless. This bracelet snaps on easily, so no need to fiddle with clasps. Snaps on, snaps off. And because it's adjustable, if you don't have the wearer in front of you, it makes a perfect gift, especially with Mother's Day coming up. The wrist sizes it covers is 6.5 to 7.5 inches, which is a nice range. So grab your supplies. I've listed them in the description, and let's get started. The yarn I'm using is YarnArt Summer. It's a sports weight yarn that is a combination of viscose and cotton. You can use another sports weight yarn if you want to, but I love this one. It's really, really pretty. And I'm going to use these colors. Again, I'll list them for you in the description. For our hook, to work the project, we're going to be using a 2.75 millimeter hook, and that's a size C. And then for adding the beads, we'll use a 0.75 millimeter hook. You'll need your beads. These beads are, I'm going to use pearls today. Like I said, they're 6 millimeters with 1 millimeter holes. And then I have my tapestry needle in there. Unless otherwise noted, you're going to leave a 4-inch tail for your tails. Now let's go ahead and do our setup foundation chain. I rarely use a foundation chain, but I'm going to do it today. Go ahead and use a slip knot. Make my work a slip knot, something I also rarely use, but we're doing it today to kind of anchor. All right, and then chain 5. Chain 5 loosely. Don't chain too tight. 3, 4, and 5. Row 1, this is our wrong side. So we have our chain. This is the V side of the chain. If we turn it, we'll find the bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bumps. Don't skip any chains. Go ahead and single crochet into each of those 5 bumps. Just like this. Let's find the next bump right here. And then single crochet. And you'll do that all the way across the row. And so this is why we don't want to, chain too tightly, right? And I've got one more. All right. Here we go. Go ahead and turn. For row 2, we're going to start working our spike single crochet stitches. So no turning chain again, just draw the loop up a little bit. You see these spaces underneath the 5 stitches right here? That's what we're going to be working into. So insert into those spaces. You're actually working into that foundation chain again. And then you work it like a regular single crochet. Yarn up, yarn over, drop a loop. Make sure you drop the loops to the height of the current row, and then yarn over, drop to the 2 loops. And you do that into each space. Is 5 total. It's just right underneath those stitches. 3, 4, and then 1 more makes 5. There we go. Oop, did I put my yarn? I did. Okay. So 5. And there you go. Go ahead and turn, and we will work row number 3. Row 3, very easy. Again, no turning chain. Just go ahead and single crochet in each of the 5 stitches across. Row 4. Now you may notice that your work looks a little bit lopsided because we didn't do our turning chain, but don't worry. This next row, when we do our spike single crochets, will correct that. So spike single crochet. Find those spaces below the 5 stitches. So we're beginning with this one right here, below that first stitch, and single crochet into those spaces. drawing the yarn up so it covers the row height. Okay. And we're going to do 5 of those spiked single crochet into the 5 spaces of the stitches below those stitches. Got one more right here. And now let's go ahead and do that one. And now you see, look at that. It evened out everything. So go ahead and turn and we will continue. From here, you're going to repeat rows 3 and 4 more times. So that means for row 3, you'll single crochet, you'll turn, you do the spike single crochet, and you do that combination 4 more times so that you will have 12 beadless rows at this end of the bracelet. And then we'll add our beads. So go ahead and do that and come back. Here are my 12 rows. They're beadless, 12 beadless rows. Go ahead and turn. Let's work row 5. It is a repeat of row 3. So that means we single crochet into each of the 5 stitches across. And then we'll get ready for row 6, which is where we add beads. Row 6 is where we start adding our beads or our kisses to our bracelet. I'm using these 6mm gold colored glass pearls. They have 1mm holes. So begin this row by working spike single crochet into the first 2 spaces, 1 and then 2. Okay. And now we add a bead. Go ahead and insert into that next space underneath the stitches of row 5. Yarn up, draw up a loop. Take that loop off the hook. Go ahead and grab your smaller hook, place a bead on that hook, and then insert the hook into the loop that's off the hook. Draw the loop through the bead hole, like that. Now you can place that hook aside. Put that loop back onto the main hook. You've got 2 loops, and you simply draw. I split my yarn. Okay, and you simply draw through those 2 loops. Just like that. I've added a bead. See that? Now, spike single crochet into the last 2 spaces. And that is your row 6. And now you would have a repeat sequence that you would work 8 times total, right? So here's the sequence. This is our current position right here, and you would turn, right? To add the rest of the 9 beads, you're going to repeat 8 times. You're going to repeat rows 3 and 4 twice, and then rows 5 and 6 1 time. 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. And you repeat that 8 more times, and that will give you 9 beads total in the bracelet. All 9 beads are added. And now what you're going to do is you're going to repeat rows 3 and 4, 4 more times. Let me show you what that looks like. So here's the one that's already finished. So here's my final bead, and I'll repeat rows 3 and 4 more times. Each of these kind of bumps here represents 2 rows. And that will make 8 beadless rows at this end, and then 12 beadless rows at the end where we started. That's going to be important for later. So go ahead and do that and return, and then we'll start making our hugs for the bracelet. At this point, you can cut your main color and then pull that loop through. Let me show you very quickly how you will, I'm going to thread this onto a tapestry needle, how you will secure, for the most part, your tails. Because I know a lot of people, they don't necessarily know how to do this. And especially for plant-based fibers, it's cotton and viscose, you're going to want to know how to secure it properly so it doesn't come apart. So I just turned it to the wrong side, right, the work. And then I'm going to take that tail underneath 2 of these stitch legs on the back. Don't make it too tight so that you bunch up this stitch right here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is just loop it around one of the tails, 1 or 2 of the tails, and make a knot, just like that. And do it again. I know we don't normally like knots, but we need it for this. We don't want this to come apart. And then from there, I'll just take it underneath a couple more legs on that wrong side, just like that, and then cut. Again, loosen that up so these stitches are not tight. And then you just take your scissors and you cut close to the work without cutting into your work. I cut a length of the contrast yarn that is 3 times the length of this top layer right here and thread it out to a tapestry needle. So beginning at the end that has the 12 beadless rows, this is where we started. We're going to work in between each bead into over a grid of 9 spaces. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're going to work over that grid. By the way, there are 70 total rows in the layer. Okay, all right. This hole, so here's your bead, and you've got 3 holes right above that bead. Starting with this bead on the right, go ahead and draw the needle up through that space. Leave a tail, 4 inches is great. And now from there, you're going to take it diagonally. You're going to skip this space and go into this space right here at the left, foremost left. And you're going to draw it down through that space. Skip the next space and draw it up through that space, that next space beneath it. So down through here, up through that one. Go ahead and pull that taut, not too tight. Finally, to complete the X, you're going to draw it down through this space right here. Okay, so 2 over from this one. And that will make your X. Go. The next X, it's done the same way. Okay, it's just going to go up through, take it down, space diagonally across from it, skipping a space, and then up through the one directly down from it. Once again, through this space, you skip that one and here, and then go up to the next space to start the next X. So you're going to do that until you get all of the X's or hugs between each of these beads. You will end going down to the space right here, and then you'll turn it around to the wrong side, and you'll secure it just like I showed you before on that wrong side, both tails, beginning and end, secure those tails, and then we'll be ready to make the bottom layers. To work the bottom layer, you will work it essentially the same as the top layer, except we won't be adding our hugs and kisses. Okay, so there'll be no beads or X's on this bottom layer. It will have 70 rows, the same as the top layer, because we're going to join them together once we finish. So you start the same. You do your 5 foundation chain stitches, and then you work rows 1 and 2. And then you would work rows 3 and 4, a total of 34 times. When you finish working those rows 3 and 4, 34 times, again, you'll have 70 rows total, and you'll end up on this side with your loop on this side like this. Do not cut your yarn. This is important, all right? And you're going to work that also in the contrast color right here, all right? Or whatever contrast color you've chosen. So go ahead and do that and meet me back. I have finished working my bottom layer. This was my final 4th row, and I'm here. You have 70 rows total, just like the top layer. And then if you haven't already secured your beginning tail for this side, for this layer, go ahead and do that now. So you'll notice you have, this is where we're going to be working. We have 5 stitches along the shorter ends, right? 5, 5. And then along the longer ends, we have the spaces, the same spaces where we work like single crochet. There are 34 of them. So we're going to be working into these 5 stitches, and along the sides, we're going to be working into these first spaces along the sides. All right, let me put this back onto the hook. Go ahead and turn. You would have turned after working that last row, and grab your top layer and place it on top of the bottom layer with the right sides of each facing outward. Okay, so these are the wrong sides facing inward, right sides facing outward. Go ahead and take that loop off the hook. And it doesn't matter which end, by the way, that the top layer that you match up. Go ahead and insert your hook into that very first of the 5 stitches on the right of the top layer, and then put the loop back onto the hook. Draw it through that first stitch, chain 1. Now go in to that same stitch along with the first stitch of the bottom layer, and we're going to work twisted single crochet. So insert yarn over, draw up a loop, push those loops all the way to the base of the hook, and then rotate your hook counterclockwise one time, 360 degrees, and then now you've twisted those loops, yarn over, and draw through those 2 twisted loops. And so that's what you're going to do. You're just going to match stitch for stitch, space for space with twisted single crochet. Okay? Don't add any extra stitches at the corner. Just match up the stitches and spaces and work all the way around for the border, and you're also joining at the same time. When you get to the last space here, you're going to work one more twisted single crochet into the first 2 stitches of the layers again. And then you can cut your yarn and pull the loop through. You would secure the yarn by tying it off and then drawing it inward into between the layers. Here is my beautiful twisted single crochet border worked all around the edges. Remember, when you get to this, you work this last space on the final edge to work one more twisted single crochet into those 2 stitches where we began. This next step is very, very important. You need to block this bracelet, okay? It is the difference between a professionally handmade bracelet and something that, while it may be kind of cute, the fabric won't be as soft, the edges are crooked, it's kind of twisted. You get where I'm going with this. So you'll need a blocking mat like I have here. You only need one. And then you'll need a ruler or a tape measure. We'll be blocking to 9 inches. And while that seems like a little excess, it's not, because we need that excess length to overlap for the snap and accommodate the snaps, okay? Use a water spray bottle with warm water and mist both sides of this bracelet. Don't oversaturate it. And then you're simply going to pin it into place with T-pins, all right? I only used 8. I pinned into the spaces along the sides, those same spaces where we made those twisted single crochet, and then I let it air dry. And let's see, the width is 1 inch. It's 1 inch wide. So go ahead and do that, and then we will be ready to add our snaps. For the sew-on snaps, I've got 2 sets here. This is the socket. This is the stud. There's 2 pieces per set. The stud fits into the socket. For this project, we only need 1 socket. All 3 of these pieces are sewn the exact same way. So I'm just going to show you how to do the stud as an example. One of these studs, and it's just about positioning, and we'll go over that in a second. You need a tapestry needle that's a thinner one. You can use the size 26, or you can use a size 10 sewing needle. Cut yourself a length of the contrast yarn that is about 2 lengths the size of this bracelet. And the reason why we're using the contrast yarn is so it can blend in on this side when we're sewing through both layers. I've got my contrast thread on my needle, and leave yourself a tail. You're going to position that stud just below that twisted single crochet edge. You're sewing through both layers and then come up first from the bottom, leaving yourself a tail. And then you're going to sew through both layers. You're sewing at kind of a diagonal because of the way the holes are positioned. So I'm going to go down through both layers. And you only need to loop around the hole about 2 times is usually enough. If you want 3, that's fine, but more than that I think is a little bit excess. So down and then back up through that same hole. And this is a nice thick layer, which is what we want. The layers together make a nice thick base is what I'm trying to say. Now when you go I'm about to loop around a second time, but and then I'm going to sew this hole. So when I go down for the second loop, I am going to actually take the needle between the layers, because you don't want a large strand on this backside here. You want to hide that. So go in between the layers and then up through the second hole. Let me lift this up a little bit so I don't split my yarn as much. Okay, there we go. All right. And you go up through that second hole, tighten everything up, and then you would continue sewing downward through both layers And that's it. You just continue to sew in that manner. I'm going to continue and finish these 4 holes, and I'll come back and show you how to secure the tails. I finished sewing that stud, and I like the way it looks on both sides. If you remember, when you do your second loop around a hole, your yarn will be between layers, right? Because you draw it between layers. Let's turn to the wrong side for a minute. So here's my yarn coming between the layers, and then here's my beginning tail. And I just want to draw the needle so that the end tail is right next to that beginning tail, as close as possible. I'm going to take it one more thread over. There we go. And so they're right next to each other. From there, you would just tie 2 overhand knots. Not too tight, but securely. It's like that. And then now I'm going to take the needle back between the layers so that I pull that knot inside the layers. So let's go ahead and do that. And that way it's hidden. Let's go right through. See that knot went inside? And from there, you can just cut the excess for these tails. For the second stud, you will sew that. You will skip 2 rows and then center and sew it below the first stud. You will again use that contrast yarn. Now for the socket, you will sew that at the opposite end, but on the wrong side, using the main color, again, so it can blend in on this side. And you will sew that. So here's our twisted single crochet edge. Here are 8 beadless rows on the wrong side. That's where you'll center and sew that socket. And then from there, you will be finished. For your no-sew snaps, you can get a little kit like this. I got one of these when I first started out. It cost me about a little under $10, I think. And it has the tools to install the snaps along with different color snap components. And so that's a very affordable way to begin. Or you can I'm going to put a photo of my my heavy duty snap press on camera for you. Let me do that right now. You can get this one if you like. If you really are going to, do like I do and use a lot of snaps and a lot of installations of snaps, it's a very good quality machine. It's very heavy and bulky, which is why I didn't put it on camera. But, try out the little kit first before you invest in something like this. Just like the sew-on snaps, you will need 2 sets of snaps for the no-sew snaps, but the no-sew snaps contain 4 components per set. So here you have the cap and the socket, and that would fit together, like this, okay, with the socket in that position. And then you have the post and the stud, and the stud goes on top of the post like this when you install them. And you will follow the directions for your machine to install these components. For this project, we only need 1 cap and 1 socket, and then we need 2 posts and 2 studs. Now, I've already installed this post and stud. Let me show you how to install the first one. So you will begin actually with this one right here. So from the wrong side, you're going to take your post, and here's our twisted single crochet edge right here. And then we have these center holes. So you're going to insert it into this hole right here. So there's 2 rows below that twisted single crochet edge. And then here's our center hole. This is on the side, the edge that has the 12 beadless rows, by the way. So go ahead, and from the wrong side, you're going to insert it to that hole, just like this, at your post. And then you would take your socket and put it on top and then install it according to your machine. I'm going to show you on my machine as best I can. I have the post on the bottom and the stud on the top. And then I would just use my machine to press them together and remove it. And now I have a nicely installed stud and post. The second one you're going to skip below the stud here, 3 spaces, 1, 2, and then in the 3rd space, you'll install that second post and stud. And at the opposite end, you'll install your cap. So this is the end with the 8 beadless rows. You will, from the twisted single crochet edge, there's 2 rows here. You'll count 1, 2 spaces. So that will center that cap. And then you will go ahead and install the cap right there with the cap from the right side, poking it through that hole and then turning it to the wrong side and lining up the socket. And then you would use the machine to install whatever machine you have. Just follow the directions and then you're done. For customization, you would leave these rows intact, the beadless rows intact, right? And what you would do is repeat where you repeat the rows 3 and 4 2 times and the rows 5 and 6 1 time. You will repeat that sequence more or less times to adjust the length if you want to. Other than that, you're ready to go. Thank you for spending time with me. Please leave comments. I love hearing from you. You have a beautiful day, and thank you for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.